welcome for the topic of understanding your electricity bill to be presented by me today. Okay, actually from where I got the inspiration for this topic is, we were all in the lockdown this year, so when I was reading the articles, okay, the inspiration I got, actually we were all in the lockdown, and then I was reading news and all, I came across this one article of these Bollywood actors complaining about their high electricity bills. And another thing, I also got firing at home. So that was when I thought, if I get a time, then I would like to study how they calculate our electricity bills. So then it went off until she came out with the idea. So I thought, let me this. Until now, being an electrical engineer, I had no idea about it. So whatever I'm going to give it to you today is just the information that I have gathered around. Okay, this is my own electricity bill. I have scanned the copy. This will be one section, the second one, the third one, okay, 1, 2, 3, then this is going to be your fourth section, and then these involve the calculations. So I've broken down my bill into these sections, and we will see it next. Now the first section which is there, the one that I've highlighted, it tells the consumer details, okay, so something the bill is for your home, it will tell your details. In this case, the electricity bill is in my mother's name. So the name that is given over here, the address, the telephone number, email ID. Okay, I went through only these things. Then next, this is the second section that I went through. Now the first thing that you mentioned, energization date, it's in that is the date when you actually your home got your electricity supply. So it was in that year. Then meter status is how is your meter running. Okay, connection, is your connection there or not there? So my connection is there, so it is active. Now what about this tariff and category? Now there are two things. Tariff, okay, can be divided into something called as LT and high T, LT and HT. LT stands for low tension, HT stands for high tension. Now under low tension, how do you classify these two? It is based on the voltage levels. Now under low tension, at your homes, you either have a single phase or a three-phase connection. For low tension, the single phase voltage is 230 volts. For three-phase, it is 400 volts. High tension is around 11 kV and above. Okay, so it goes under the category of high tension. This is the tariff part. The category part is you can have domestic and commercial. Domestic is usually for your homes and offices. Commercial is usually meant for industries. So LT is usually used for your residential, commercial and small offices, whereas high tension is usually used for industries. Then the next thing, the feeder. You will have a transformer in your locality, okay? The transformer will have a number, so that gets your feeder number. Now what is your pole? There is a pole from which the connections go to your homes. In your ward or something, there will be one pole besides the transformer. So this is that particular pole number. Now the voltage at my home is, we have single phase connection, so the single phase voltage is 220. Since it's in kilovolts, it is 0.22. Sanction load, I happen to ask them because this is, if you notice, this is just 0.72 kilovolts, which actually means it's only 720 watts. So what I understood when I tried to find out information is, originally when they were doing the lighting of the homes in my particular ward, that is in 74 when we had started, they had seen how much load each house will have, maybe one bulb, one fan and all. And they designed, say this home 1 will get so much load, home 2 will get so much load. So depending on that, they had done it that time, sanction load. He told me that you can also change it, okay, right now. So this is what they assigned by a survey that was done in those times. Okay, now what is of interest to you? This is my third section. This is the billing date when the bill was generated. You have to pay the bill by this particular date. So the bill was generated on 21st October to pay it by 4th November. Okay. The billing period is of interest to you. Say the bill that is given to you right now is for how many days? Okay. This number is very important, 37 days. This is your fourth section. This is very important, that is your bill is generated for how many days. That's the first figure you have to know. Second thing, now, how do is the number for my meter, which is that of my home. Okay. The unit is energy. Unit is kilowatt hour. The reading that is taken. Okay. This bill is meant for today's reading. Say suppose today is 18 September. Today I am getting the bill. Okay. The present reading on my meter is 8553. Fine. So the bill that I am getting today is with this reading of my meter and on this date. My previous bill, that's my last bill, okay, came in August, 12th August, and the previous reading on my meter was 8,400. So what is the energy I have consumed or my house has consumed from August to September? Okay, they have taken a difference of this 8553 minus 8400, which turns out to be 153. So this is my second value that I need to know. So the consumption for this duration, that is my current bill, is 153 units. So this is the first important data that I need, the number of days for which your bill is generated. The second is how much of energy I consumed in this particular number of days. Okay. Now the next thing is in my bill, okay, when I want to calculate my final charges, what are the different charges that are going to be coming across my bill? First is something called as your fixed charges. Second is called as your energy charges. The third is FPPCA. It's also called as FCA or FAC. The fourth is the rent for my meter. Fifth is electricity duty. Now FPPCA, okay, this is Aloysius' query. The full form is Fuel and Power Purchase Cost Adjustment. That is the full form of it. I will tell you what each is in the coming slides. So your final amount on your electricity bill will be the total sum of all these individual charges. So this is my total charge, which is going to be the sum of my individual charges. So these are basically my components. Now, what is the information finally that you need to calculate that charge? You need your billing days, that is how many days a bill is calculated for. In this case, the bill that I referred was 37 days. Second is what is the energy consumed that we got previously, that is 153 kilowatts. And third, you need to know the tariffs or you need to know the slabs for each of those components as shown in my previous slide. Now the first one. Now the first component of your electricity bill is called as a fixed charge. Now from where you get these charges, they say to set up the infrastructure. So electricity has to be produced for your power plant where they produce it. Then you have to transmit it, the transmission. So at my generating station to set up that infrastructure plus the distribution companies which actually transmit my electricity, ultimately that entire cost of the infrastructure they transfer it to the consumers. So on the consumer end when I pay, I also pay for the infrastructure as well as maintenance of my power plants as well as my transmission. So this is that component of charge that I am paying for my infrastructure. Now the tariffs, there is certain slabs for this. If you have a single phase connection, they say it is 25 rupees per month. If you have a 3-phase connection, they say it is 60 rupees and this data is for 1 month. Now, this, whatever I have highlighted is the section from my bill. So they have mentioned particulars, meaning my fixed charges. It's single phase that I have taken. So definitely it is 25 rupees, okay. Rate is 25, but the amount they have said here is 30. Now how do I get 30? Now please understand the bill that I have got right now is for 37 days. And these rates that are given, they are for 1 month, okay. So this is actually for 30 days. So my fixed charges are given as 25 rupees per month, which is your 30 days. So for 30 days, I'm having 25 rupees. But your bill is actually come for 37 days. So on the day side, you put 37 days. How much will the cost be? Say I've assigned it a variable D. You cross multiply, you get the value of D. So this is the charge that is coming from my fixed charge, but this is for my infrastructure, which is getting transferred ultimately to me, okay, and this value and this value is matching. So this remains fixed for everybody. You have to get your billing days, you have to cross multiply, this will be your answer for a fixed charge. This is the first component. So what you needed to know is, you needed to know the number of days, okay, and you needed to know what are the tariffs to calculate this particular value. The next section is your energy charges, okay. Now this, how do you get this component is, this directly comes on how much of energy you have consumed. Now for my 37 days, I was having 153 kilowatt hour of energy consumed. So directly depending upon how many units that I have consumed, I am going to be charged. That comes under your energy charges. Now again for energy charges, you have tariffs. There are slabs for it. So what this says, 0 to 100 units, you have 1.4. But there are two categories over here. This EC stands for my energy charges. LT stands for low tension, okay, your low voltage. D stands for domestic, C stands for commercial. So I come under the category of domestic. Commercial is for your offices and industries, depending on how you register. So we will be concentrating on this column because this is of interest for my particular bill. So there are various slabs for it. 0 to 100 units, it's 1.4. 100 to 200 units, it's 2.1. 200 to 300 units, it's 2.6, and so on. Above 400 units, they directly charge you 4 rupees. Now you very well know that you have your bill right now is 37 days bill. It is not 1 month bill, not 30 days. 37 days bill, and my unit of consumption is 153. Now in my bill, this is directly applicable what I got from my bill. So if you notice, they have broken into two parts. This is 123 and this is 30. This is how much of energy that is consumed. Okay, it is broken down. If you add these two, you will get 153. Now for 123, they have charged you 1.4, and for the remaining 30, they have charged you 2.1. Now the doubt that naturally comes is, when we say that the slab is up till 100, it is 1.4, how 123 extra units are gone into the next slab, and whatever is the remaining is coming over here. So what we said is, one thing you need to understand is, this bill is not for 1 month, it is for 37 days. Okay. So this is my slab I have taken here. 0 to 100 is 1.4, 100 to 200 is 2.1. I am not interested in the remaining because my units are only up till 153. So how do I transfer? The maximum was 100, from where I get extra 23 units pushed into this, the first slab. Oh, how does that work? Now, you know that for 30 days, okay, that is for 100 kilowatts, if you consume in 30 days, this is for 100 kilowatts, it's 30 days, okay. So now what you want to know, for 1 day, how much of energy will be allotted in this particular slab. So when you cross multiply, say this variable I give you as x, so x comes out to be 3.33 kilowatts for 1 day, okay. So now what I'm having is, what I've done exactly, up till 100 units, I can put in this slab, but only for 30 days. Now I have 37 days. So for this extra 7 days, how many more units I can push into this slab? So this is what I am doing. So what I am doing is, ultimately if I find for 1 day how much of units are going into this slab, and then I multiply by 7 days, I will get the units that can be pushed into my first slab. So what I have done is 100 kilowatts, if I assign for 30 days, for 1 day how much do I get, okay, how many units can I push? You cross multiply, so for 1 day I am getting 33 kilowatts of units that I can push in my first range. So extra I have got is 7 days. So multiply by 7, this is around 23 kilowatts that I get. So for this extra 7 days, this amount of energy I can push into my first slab, okay. So what remains is, for 1.4, originally I had 100, okay, 100, I got 1.4. plus for this extra 7 days, it is 23. So ultimately it is 123 that I can push in my first slab. Now I have to move to my next slab, which is 2.1. Now how to find what remains in this? If you notice, the total energy that you are getting for your entire 37 days is 153. What is already being pushed into the first slab is 123. So how do I get the number of units over here? It will be 153 minus 123, which is 30 units. So 30 units come into my second slab for 37 days. 123 units come into the first slab for my 37 days. I will multiply this. This is the amount that comes in the first slab. This is the amount that comes in the second slab. I sum up these two and this is my answer. That is, this is my charge that is imposed on me because of the energy that I directly consume. So the first charge was your fixed charges, that is for your infrastructure which gets transferred to us. Second is directly how much we consume. Now the third one is, okay, this slide is taken from the first year, but I just would like to introduce. The thing is, the next charge that I'm going to deal with is the fuel charge, okay. So the fuel that is used is coal to produce electricity. Now coal comes into the picture. I have at a steam power plant, I have water. So how is coal used? We burn the coal, the heat of it converts the water in the boiler to steam. The steam is directed to the turbine coupled to the generator produces electricity. So this is how our electricity is produced at the power plant, okay. Now this coal, again there is when the power plant has to purchase this coal. So they have to buy at a particular rate. Now that cost of the fuel also is coming back to the customer at the final end. So that cost that is coming to your customer is called as FPPCA. It has another name as FAC or FCA. Now those rates, okay, are given in this slab. Now how do you transfer to the customer? Depending upon how much of units that you consume. So 0 to 100, it is given as 16.32. This is paise per unit. 100 to 200, it is 23.98 paise per unit. Now we will discuss only these two because we are interested in these two. My energy is not exceeding 153 units. So we will discuss these two. Now, who decides these rates? These come from the government. This is a picture of the official gazette coming from the government of Goa. Okay, these documents are usually they upload on the electricity website from which I got. They usually revise it in 1 year depending on how they revise it. Now, these computations, these rates that are given, they are computed for the first quarter of 2020. That is, what was the cost from April to June, okay? And then we imposed it in the next section of 2020. That is for July, August and September. So what is going to be calculated now, the cost will be transferred on the next section, and that's how they get these units. So this is coming from the government, it's an official document. Now, how do we calculate it again? If you see, we are having 153 units, okay? 0 to 100 units. The cost in your previous slide was given as 0.1632 and 398. This, I will take it over here. For the first 100 units, it was 16.3 paise. For the next 100 units, it's 23.98 paise. Now, for us, it is given as 153, our total energy consumed. So, how much you transfer in the first slab and how much you keep in the remaining slab, the same logic that was previously applies over here. So, in the first slab was 123 because of the 37 days, and then what remains over here is 30. The same concept that you use for energy charges is to be used over here. Okay. The rates are given in terms of paise. Okay. You multiply it. This is the rate. You have to sum it up. For the two tariffs, this is my charge that I have been paying for the fuel for that particular 37 days. So these are my fuel charges. Next is the meter that is at home. You have to pay a certain rent for it. Okay. There are two ways of doing it. They actually have a slab again over here. They have a tariff. They say if yours is having a single phase, it is 15 rupees. If it is 3 phase, it is 30. If it is a current transformer, it is 75. But mine is this, so I will stick to this. Now, your bill, please understand, is generated for 37 days. So you can break it up into 1 month plus extra 7 days. For 1 month, the rent of a meter is given as 15 rupees. So for extra 7 days, what is the charge? So what they do is for 37 days, okay, what I did was, this is my calculation, I got this bill as 18.5. So for 1 day it is how much? I try to find out the variable and I try to find it out as 0.5 per day, okay. So ultimately, even if you take 37 into 0.5, you will get 18.5. Also, if you take 7 into 0.5 plus 15, you get 18.5. I have verified it for the remaining bills. So what I understood is for per day, they are charging around 0.5. So this is what came actually in my meter rent. Okay. Now another thing, two last things, electricity duty. This is something extra that you pay to the government, it goes, okay. It doesn't go either to the distribution, it doesn't go to the generation, no way, but you have to give it to the government. They charge 0.2 paise for per kilowatt of hour of energy consumed. So whatever is the reading for those 37 days, 153 into 0.2 comes out to be 30.6 rupees. So this is the electricity duty going to the government by me for those 37 days. Also you get a concession, okay. And one concession that you get is your rebate. What they said is you get 0.34% of the total bill paid. So whatever was my total bill, that came out to be actually 341, multiplied by 0.34%, I was getting as 1.16 rupee. So that was the discount that I got. So they say this if you pay within 7 days or if you have there are different rebates, but this was one I got a discount on because you pay it on time. Now this is finally the fifth section of which I have shown. I have shown you how to calculate fixed charges, energy charges, FPP, C. These are the three main charges. Besides that, now the final bill where all the amount is put, there is fixed charges, energy charges, the fuel charges, okay, the rebate that I got, the meter rent, the duty that I pay my government. So when I sum up all this minus the rebate, this was the value that I got, 341.23, okay. 0.23 gets carried off to the next month. So what I paid was 341. So if I sum up all these values, what I got was 341.